guys, and we're back here after another week of football. Back on the Toffees Victoria show with myself, Tim, Andy, and Nick. Chris can't join us tonight. I think he's just had enough of Everton, to be honest. Nah, jokes.
Yeah, fair enough.
So obviously, guys, a pretty crazy game. I think we all had some pretty heavy score predictions last week. They didn't come to fruition, but I don't think that was from lack of trying from either team, to be honest.
Definitely not.
So I think we'll start by having a look at the lineups. Nick, any surprises there for you?
I'd just like to pick up. There's the obvious situation when it comes to our wing backs and having Iwobi and Davis, which clearly just doesn't work. And in my opinion, and I've voiced it a couple of times, that even if they're second rate or they're not fancied, with the injuries that we have, you have to play Kenny and Nkunku because they are a right back and a left back, and clearly three at the back's not working with the wing backs. We got away with one against Fulham. So that's the first point I'd like to make up. And far be it for me to criticise Carlo, but there's another thing as well, is there's no consistency with the centre-back pairing. He keeps sort of chopping and changing Mina and Holgate, and he's done it a few times now. I mean, we all know that Mina's looked dodgy at best at times, and Holgate, when he's come in, even though it's been from a long injury layoff, has also looked pretty shaky. But I think you have to stick with two. I think you have to stick with Keane and his partner, and you can't chop and change them both because it's clearly not working. I think everyone else was pretty much picks themselves. I don't think there was any other surprises there. But yeah, I was pretty underwhelmed with Carlo's team. What about you, Tim?
Yeah, well, obviously I was pretty surprised. I sort of spent most of last week, and I think I said in last week's show, I had no idea how we were going to line up. Would we go back to a 4-3-3? Would we stick with three at the back? And then obviously I woke up to the news midweek with Dinier's injury, and I thought, well, that's going to pretty much consign us to three at the back for the foreseeable future, I think. And I think we all said, well, let's see what Nkunku can do. I think Iwobi had his best game in Everton colours the week before, playing at right wing back. So I thought, all right, three at the back. Obviously, Nkunku's not going to be as good as Digne, but he's showed a bit in the time that he's been at the club. So I'm happy to see him get a start. I thought that might be the only change, and I think Mina out for Holgate. I think we all sort of thought that might happen, and I don't think it was unwarranted because Mina hasn't been great. And I think if we stick to three at the back, I think the three that we picked this week would be the preferred three. Because between Godfrey and Holgate, they can make up for any pace that Keane is lacking. But yeah, then I don't know, like, as you say, far be it for me to judge Carlo, but it just seemed very odd. Like, let's take Iwobi out of the position that he's just played a really good game in and put him on the other side and play a central midfielder at right wing back. The answer for me was Nkunku, but why was he not even on the bench? Again, certain players not even getting near the squad is very strange. So yeah, I was very surprised by the lineup. Ironically, I think Davies actually had quite a good game, albeit out of position before he went off. He created the chance in the first half, which we'll talk about later. But I don't know. It just seemed a very odd one for me. If we were going to stick with three at the back, which I thought we might with Digne out, then I just don't understand why Nkunku didn't come in and why you're putting a central midfielder in a right wing back position. But anyway, what were your thoughts, Andy?
I watching the game, I didn't realise Iwobi was playing in a different position until probably at halftime when they were when the panel were talking about it, and then I rewinded and went and watched him again. I'm like, oh yeah, they're right. He is playing on that side. That's really odd. Then I looked at the phone and saw how the formation is from the lineup, and I was just like, this is really bizarre. Why has he done this? Just put Iwobi where he was last week. Like, he was great. And then Davis where he was, I thought he was all right, but the amount of times just, like, I don't know. I just feel like I think he really got the team sheet wrong. Like, to not even have Nkunku on the bench, like a left footer, like, I just found it really bizarre. Like, I honestly I'm lost for words because it just doesn't make sense. Like, we watch this team day in, day out. We know the ins and outs. And then you see a team like this and you're like, wait, what? This is like a whole 360 turn. Like it's just
He must really, really not fancy Nkunku or Kenny.
yeah. Is it a youthful thing? Because even John
do
Joe
that.
Kenny can't get in.
We all know that John Joe Kenny is not the answer at right back. And that was one of the big mistakes of the summer, is not signing cover for Coleman, because although Coleman's done very well when he has
Yeah,
been
we've
fit,
definitely missed
surprisingly,
him. Jeez.
to not have a right back was pretty much criminal not to sign one when we knew that Kenny was kind of, he's out on loan and doesn't look like he's going to make it. But it's very odd not to have our only two fit fullbacks on the bench when our first two fullbacks are out. It's very strange. I don't really understand.
Do you think it also shows that, the depth we thought we had in that Tottenham game? We're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. The team's playing really well.
Seems like so long ago.
It feels so long ago, but like we had players on the bench that came on and then they played well. And you're just like, oh my God, this is great. And then, we go on that great run and then it's just all falling apart. And like, I was listening to the Toffee TV lads and like, Ped was like, you look at that bench and it's like a group of a Sunday old man league, like with those players and like, they shouldn't be there. Like they really should have moved on.
I think when you're trying to, you bring on Fabian Delph
Yeah.
to try and win a game at home.
He probably should have started. Because he on Man City, didn't he play right? He played on the right or the left?
The left.
He played on the left, so just put him there. He's played that position before. I
just think with a team. Sorry, Tim.
No, I was going to say, I would have thought if you don't trust in Nkunku, then you go with Delph at left wing back, because at least he's played there before, and you leave Iwobi where he played a great game the week before.
Yeah,
Ian Tom Davis, who doesn't really perform in his preferred position of central midfield when he gets a start, to right wing back and moving Iwobi to an unfamiliar left wing back just did not make a lot of sense to me. Look, I don't think it cost us the game, and I'm not by any stretch of the imagination am I sitting here saying, Carlo out or anything like that.
No.
But just some very odd decisions. And then even when you look at the bench, as I agree with you guys, to not have Kenny and Nkunku, Gordon even, the bench was a lot of old men. I just had a look before, and it's Tosin, Losel, Bernard, Gomez, Sigurdsson. None of those guys are going to come on and run at a tired defence, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's another. It's a very, very minor point when it comes to the overall outcome of the game and the team and things like that. But why was Losel on the bench and not Olsen?
What's that about?
I don't think he was injured, and it just seems very odd that he was brought in to compete with Pickford, actually started a game, and then gets dropped for Losel, hasn't made the bench in God knows how long. I don't really understand.
Yeah, maybe he's doing a training thing. Whoever trains best makes the bench, and maybe it's Losel's lifted his game because of it. I don't know. Maybe it's a battle between Olsen and Losel for number 2. I don't know.
Or maybe
you're right.
Maybe he's ill and they're just keeping it quiet. I don't know.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's Gordon Nkunku, because don't forget the week before, neither Nkunku or Gordon started in the under-23, so I expected them to be in the lineup for the Fulham game.
That's right. Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on there. Like, they're not even in matchday squads, which is weird, but they're also not playing under-23s. Where are they? Are they injured? Like, it's very strange. But so I think we're all in agreement with the lineup, and it just makes you wonder. We go to Burnley, which we'll talk about a bit later, and how are we even going to predict a lineup for that when we get to that part? But before we get there, obviously, let's talk about the actual game itself. So starting with the first half, and I think if you're a neutral, you would have been pretty happy with what you saw. What were your thoughts, Andy?
Yeah, pretty. I don't know. I was pretty frustrated because they went at us straight away. Like I think they had like 2 chances already in the first 10 minutes or even 5, and I was already like, oh come on, don't let them control the game, move the ball. And the way they were moving the ball already was pretty good. But then I felt like we did sort of get a bit of control. We had a few chances. But yeah, it felt like old Everton. Like it just we weren't really creating too much, or even just like not enough. Yeah, especially in this first half. And I just felt like by the time it got to half time, I just felt like advantage Leeds. Like I didn't feel like we had any clear cut chances. Like I think we had was it both disallowed goals in the first or one?
I think just the one. Was
Just
it
the
two?
one?
Both in the first half, yeah.
Both in the first? Yeah. And even those, I was just thought, you know, they were clearly offside and stuff. And I just thought, I just don't think it's not our day. I just don't see it happening. Nick.
Yeah, I think the first half could have been a 3-3 at half time. Leeds are obviously a very good attacking team, and they certainly exploited the space at the wing back.
Yeah.
I think, is it Rafinha, their Brazilian speedy guy?
Yeah.
Plays sort of on the right for them. Just kept running into space and picking it up, and they play some really lovely one-touch football in the front three with Bamford. And I just thought that we had some chances ourselves. They had some chances. It could have easily been a high score draw at half time. And for me, I think Doucouré, as much as I've really liked the guy since he's come on, he's dropped off a bit in the last couple of weeks, and I think he has to score in the first 5 or 6 minutes.
He does.
Really, I mean, look, it's a great save by their goalie, Meslier, but he has to score. It's 6 yards out. It's a great ball by Tom Davis, by the way. He got into a really good position there, which is unusual for Tom Davis to be popping up on the wing and putting a good ball across the box. But, fair play to him. But yeah, Doucouré has to score. The offside, the one that springs to mind is Rodriguez, who it was when he picked the ball up just by the touchline. You think, that's just exactly what he can do is something special like that, and then to sort of come inside and. It was very unlucky. Yes, it was offside, but again by millimetres, and probably one of those things that you'd like to see give an advantage to the attacker. But by the letter of the law, we can't have any complaints. But yeah, just same old Everton. We're getting exploited at the wing backs by speedy attacking teams who, much like Fulham last week, who not the same quality as Leeds, but the same sort of game plan, attack those spaces. But Leeds just exploited us, and we had nothing up front unfortunately for this game. What about you, Tim?
Look, I'm a little bit less pessimistic about the first half than you guys. I actually thought we played okay. We had the ball in the back of the net twice, granted from offsides, and I know a few of those chances did come from set plays, but that has been a strength of ours this season. I think their keeper had to make just as many sort of really good saves as Pickford did. Fully agree that Doucouré had to score that one. Decent save by the keeper, but when it's only half a foot away from you, if Doucouré goes for either corner or either post there, then that's a goal 100%. It should have been really. And I wonder if that contributed to the rest of his game. Maybe his confidence was a bit shot. But yeah, I thought despite the lineup, the first half, as you say, I think 3-3 would have been a fair scoreline at the end of the first half. As it was, I thought. I don't know how it was 0-0, but it was. And I thought, okay, well, probably scores being level going into half time is about where it's at. I thought both teams have created a lot. Leeds look dangerous, and it's baffling me how last week Fulham and now this week Leeds can suddenly come to Goodison or play against us and all of a sudden play this 1-2 touch passing like they're Barcelona all of a sudden. That Rafinha, who you mentioned had a cracking game, hasn't started a game all season until this week. He's played about 50 minutes of football. So, of course, he comes on and has a blinder against us, which is very Everton.
Was good.
But yeah, honestly, with the first half, I wasn't too dismayed. I thought, we weren't great attacking, but I thought given the way we set up and the personnel we had out there, look, when you play sort of a five at the back, I always think you're relying on the wing backs to provide your width, both attacking and defensively. And I don't think we could, aside from Davies, great cross in the first 5 minutes that should have been a goal. I don't think you can rely on Iwobi on the wrong side and Tom Davis on the right side to be providing that going forward, which just makes that team selection all the more bizarre. And Tom Davis in particular is certainly not going to get up and down a flank as quick as, say, an Nkunku or a Kenny or a Gordon even could. Again, the team selection, as we said, was quite odd. And, obviously when you do play only two wide players in, sort of Nkunku and, Iwobi and Davis, it means Leeds, who were sort of playing a 4-4-1, were able to find space out wide by creating overlaps on their wings. Because one fullback or one wing back can't follow a fullback and a left winger, for example. Richie and Hammers tried to help out as much as they could, but yeah, it's a lot on the shoulders of two wing backs who don't play there regularly, one of which arguably shouldn't be getting a game in any position in Davies. But all in all, as I said, I thought 3-3, as you say, would have been a fair score line, but I was happy to take 0-0. And I'd just like to highlight some great saves from Pickford in that first half as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good first half.
Over the last few weeks, I think one positive has been that he's really starting to iron out those mistakes, putting in some quality performances as well. So that was very good to see. I guess much like the actual game, we'll take a quick halftime break and then come back and talk about the second half. All right, and we're back after a word from our sponsor, if we had one. Hopefully that'll come in the future. Anyone watching?
Maybe we will.
Yeah, maybe, just a 6-pack of beer a week is all it will cost to sponsor, just saying.
Yeah, just a stubby here and there would be good.
Yeah, that's right. So obviously we'll talk about the second half now, which was, not as great as the first, I didn't think. Started out pretty well with two really good opportunities for Calvert-Lewin. I think, in the first 2 minutes, the first one, I think he could have slowed down and maybe cut it back across for Richarlison by the time he got himself on that sharp angle. And I think the second one, he had every right to take that shot on. And again, it was a very, very much similar to the first half for me. It was very attacking for both teams. We tried to mix things up a bit. We finally decided to bring on Delph of all people and, move Iwobi back out to his new preferred position of right wing back. Their goal was, it was a well-struck effort. No question. I think a little bit fortunate in that it goes through Godfrey's legs. Pickford doesn't see it till late, and as we know, he's not one of the taller goalkeepers going around. So, hate to say it, but if he was, 2 or 3 inches taller, he maybe gets a fingertip to that to divert it wide. I think that's mostly where he's vulnerable, is when he has to get a cross goal quickly from a shot from distance, a hard shot from distance. That's when he sort of struggles the most, because he doesn't have the body length of some keepers. But other than that, I thought we did okay. I thought Allen was really impressive in that second half, really stood up, took some ownership. And I think over the last 2 weeks when he's, obviously with 3 at the back, we don't have to rely on him to sit as deep. And I think he's shown a bit in the last 2 weeks, not just in the second half of this game, that he's got some ability going forward with the ball. He had a couple of really great runs and a couple of pings at goal. One was good, and the other one was, sort of off the outside of his boot, unfortunately. I thought he played really well in that half as well. But I think once Leeds got the goal, they got a few more chances after that. But that sort of comes down to us pushing forward, trying to get our goal. I think when they broke at one point, it's because Godfrey missed time to touch, sort of almost on the edge of the penalty box. So I think that shows you, when your centre back's up there, that shows you how much we were pushing forward, trying to get that equaliser. And again, which, I like to see that. We know we're a bit leaky defensively. I don't think 3 at the back or 4 at the back is the answer. I think that might change a bit when Gbamin comes back, if he comes back. I know we haven't seen much of him, and I know it's putting a lot of pressure on a fellow who's only played, 80-odd minutes in his whole Everton career. But I think he was recruited to play that sort of Idrissa Gueye role and protect the back 4. I think Allen's been there as a stopgap, and I think, if we can get sort of all our players fit, I think we'd go back to that 4-3-3, and I think the midfield 3 would be sort of Gbamin deep with Decore and Allen sort of all action up and down the pitch in front of them, because they've both shown, both Allen and Decore, that they can, that they can offer a lot both offensively and defensively. So yeah, I think disappointing ultimately to walk away with a 1-0 win. But I saw a stat today that said Leeds have created the most chances in the Premier League so far this year. So they're no slouch of a team, to be honest. And just looking at the table, they're only a couple of points behind us. And we're still only 3 points off third, so it's not all doom and gloom. But yeah,
Well, when we look at our fixtures coming up, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I think we, like Burnley again, much like Fulham last week, is now a must-win.
yes,
I would say because that Christmas period does not look very kind for us.
no,
Um,
you're right. Yeah,
so yeah, I think I would echo a lot of those points that you said. I think Alan was probably our best player and does look like he's more than capable. He's more than just a shielder, and he
yeah.
can run forward. I think that mazy run that he takes it around one of their defenders and is just quite. I mean, the angle was against him in the end, and the keeper makes a save. I think he was probably the shining light of the second half, and their goal was a really well struck goal, and you can't really argue that they didn't deserve to nick a win away. It was a really good away performance. They came at us. They didn't park the bus. They got at us. Yes, we were very unlucky with a few of the chances that we had. DCL, as you mentioned, had two great chances. We had a couple of goals ruled out in the first half, but I think that's a really good away performance by Leeds. A really good strike, and I can't really argue against the defeat. Andy?
Yeah. Not good enough, I reckon. I just was really struggling with that second half. I just found there was just no motivation. Like you said, Alan was I found just the only one who actually was playing, getting amongst it. He went on that fantastic run, took a shot. And I think there was a few times where, he was, bringing the ball forward, and then you can just see him telling the people, like, move up the line, like, let's go. And so you could see the frustration on him. But I knew the goal was coming, like as soon as I think they might have had a chance just before their goal. We just left open some space, and the guy crossed it in and it just went out. But it could have been something. But yeah, I don't know what Godfrey was doing. He's just like holding him off. Like he had the ball, he switched angles, then he moved forward, and then he took a shot. It's like you gave him so much time and space. Like put a foot in, do something. And yeah, it just goes between his legs, and Pickford's got no chance. Just really disappointing. And then at the end, just seeing 58% possession, 23 shots to our 15. Okay, we had more on target, 8 to their 6, but you can't,
like we've
have an
been,
away team come, and like you guys have both said, like Leeds are a quality team, but they're newly promoted. We've got, we're trying to make Goodison a fortress and stuff, but come on, you can't be letting teams just dominating you like that at home. It's, Frank, I think it's just embarrassing.
What's really disappointing is that we went on that great 5-game run at the start of the season with no fans, and now we're going really bad, and they're talking about letting fans back in, and you can imagine what the atmosphere would have been like at Goodison if fans
my gosh,
in that first 5
billion.
weeks compared to what it's potentially going to be now, and I worry that it's going to make results worse.
Can you imagine that? So 2,000 people. There's going to be definitely some audible Goodison dads. Shouting abuse at James Rodriguez and all the other players that we've got, tell them they're not good enough or they're overweight, and they're
just another note on that game too, while we're talking about that sort of thing. Jim Beglin, you were watching that game. He was the second commentator in that game. What's Everton or Richarlison or James ever done to him? Because he was just frothing over Leeds for that whole game. I couldn't believe it. There was one where a through ball got played for Richarlison. He's running for the ball. The keeper's running for the ball. Keeper's got there first. He's taken Richarlison. Richarlison's gone down and grabbed his ankle. I think 98% of players in the Premier League would in that situation. And all Jim Beglin, he's trying to buy him there. He's made sure there was contact. The keeper was the only one going for the ball. Well, actually, they both were, mate. They both got there at about the same time. And Richarlison was also trying his best to get the ball, and that's why contact was made. Mm. You know what I mean? And
he massively overdid that incident, and every time he commentates on us, it's just, he's one of those commentators of of the Copites, really, who
Yeah.
just has a problem with everything that we do. And we know Richarlison's a narc, and every neutral and especially every Liverpool fan hates him because of the way that he is, and he does play act, and we all know that. But yeah, I mean, the way that he in particular goes on about our players is just ridiculous.
Yeah. And even just throughout the whole game, it was I was wondering if he used to. I meant to Google it before we came on, but I forgot if he used to play for Leeds or something, because definitely a lot of Leeds love going on in that commentary. And not totally undeserved. Don't get me wrong, but it can be. I think it just adds to the frustration when you're not winning as well.
Well, another thing I noticed was like, I think especially in that first half as well, going back there, they were like full on sliding in tackles and like full on getting at James, and nothing was really being done about it. Like they were full on trying to take him out of the game.
Yeah.
And like I think it might have been in the second half they took him out again, and he's on the ground going like, "Ref, like come on." That's like the third time in like a few minutes.
Yeah.
And the one thing I was really a bit annoyed with is like none of our players ran up to the ref going, "Come," like trying to, engage, trying to, get a part of it, saying, "Hey ref, this could be like this, that was serious," like, but like, nah, they just told James, "Come on, man, get up. We'll take the free kick." It's like, where's the guts? Where's the come on? Where's
the
flag for your teammate? Yeah,
you've got to stick up for your players. I think we've had an issue with it for a long time. We've had an issue with that for a long time, and there's no lack of camaraderie.
It's all just heads down and like, "Oh, get in position." It's like your teammate's there on the ground still. He's had his ankle just probably stepped on or like hit, and you're just like, "Oh, come on, man, we got to kick, we got to get ready." Like I don't know, I just found that really annoying because like I think it was like the third time he was on the ground, and everyone's just like, "Oh, come on, man, we got to take the kick." It's like, hey, he's just been taken down. Like, come on, get up, get in the ref's face.
I think I know the incident you're talking about, because that was the one that actually prompted my Jim Beglin comment, because Jim Beglin said, James is rolling around there because he feels like he's been targeted, and I don't really think that's the case.
Oh my God, come on. Which game was he watching? He was clearly targeted.
Yeah.
Yeah. But don't get me wrong, I think James makes a meal out of a lot of stuff, and that.
Oh no, yeah.
Yes.
But that third time, no, the guy clearly took him out.
Oh, he did take him out. I think, whether or not it warranted such a few rolls.
I don't know if he got carded, to be honest. I'm not sure.
However, if you're James Rodriguez, the frustration and you want to make something happen, because the referee was giving him nothing. These players were taking him out left, right, and centre. If he wants to roll around because it's happened the third, the fourth, the fifth time to try and make something happen, then that's kind of part of the game. And I don't really, as much as I don't particularly like it, and I don't think it's really Everton. I understand why he's doing it, but yeah, you're absolutely right, Andy. I think one of the problems that we've had in our team that really, really annoys me is Coleman's pretty much the only person that goes out and makes. Oh
yeah, it gets in there. Other than that, no one else does. They're just like, "Oh, we'll get on with it."
Yeah, when he's not there doesn't seem to be any sort of camaraderie or fighting spirit. Whereas Leeds had that in absolute abundance, and that's
every challenge though in the ref's face.
Yeah, and that's probably what we need.
Well, I think, definitely, I agree with that to an extent. I mean, if you look at the lineup as it started, just sort of having a brief look now off the top of my head, the only player there that I can think of, well, maybe three players in that lineup who I would say are really sort of passionately Everton, as close to Coleman, I guess, as you can get, is Richarlison. And, the worry with him is that when he does fly the flag, he's going to do something silly and get himself red carded. Pickford's certainly the most vocal. And maybe DCL as well. But other than that, most of not one of those players there, when I'm looking at it now, came through our youth academy or anything like that. And I guess that's the way of modern football.
Davis probably the only one.
Davis, but
he's not
Davis is not the most passionate. Davis is not the most passionate guy about anything to do with football, I don't think. Which is not necessarily a bad thing, but So on that note, who would your man of match have been for that game, guys?
Alan for me.
Alan, head over shoulders, everyone else. The only one who actually was, sticking to a game plan and actually fighting for the shirt and getting amongst it, unlike the rest.
Yeah, look, I'd probably agree. I think if that finished 0-0, I probably would have had Pickford, just purely for some of the saves he pulled off. But I think unfortunately, when that goal went in, I think that just nudged it Alan's way. So that brings us to this week against Burnley, which is now a must-win game. Feels like we've been saying that quite a bit lately. Another potential banana skin, however you want to phrase it. So I guess, what do we think the lineup will be for starters? I think that's anyone's guess.
It's absolutely anyone's guess. I mean, as I mentioned at the start, I really do hope we go back to a 4 at the back. I don't think we will. I think he's going to stick with a 3 or with the 2 wing backs. I don't know the state of Coleman. I know Deeney's obviously out for a couple of months. But yeah, I think I'd be very surprised if there was any change. However, I do think that we should go back to a 4 with Kenny and Nkunku starting, not just on the bench. Gordon maybe has a shout. I mean, he must have a shout at getting at least on the bench, you would imagine. But yeah, it's anyone's guess at the moment. I think Burnley are a potential banana skin. They've got some good players. Chris Wood's quite handy up front and can cause us some issues. Nick Pope, I think, is back in goal for them. So I think this week. So he's about to have a blinder. You can tell that. And Burnley are just they're one of those teams. They've got big rocks at the back. They hump the ball forward, and they're going to be difficult to break down. And we have got some really good attacking players, and we've got every chance of getting something out of that game. Tim, you?
Look, I think the lineup is the thing for me. I think, honestly, Burnley are a bang average side at the moment. I don't think they offer much going forward. I don't think they ever really had. I think they're probably favourites to go down. We do have a bit of form over the last couple of years against Burnley. I was just having a look at the previous scores, and I do particularly remember the 2018 Boxing Day game where we won 5-1, and I think we were up 3-0 in the first 15 minutes or something. I was up at my folks' place in Gippsland watching that at 2 a.m. on Christmas night or Boxing Day night, trying to be not shout at the TV every time we scored, so I didn't wake them up. So I think this is one that we should be winning comfortably. I think it's a very different proposition to Fulham or Leeds. I think Burnley will just sit back. So we're going to have to be creative and find ways through that. And I don't know that we can do that with 3 at the back. So I agree with Nick. I want to see us go back to a 4 at the back. I'd like to see Nkunku on the left. If he's not happy with Kenny, I don't know how I'd feel about Iwobi playing as a flat-out right back in a back 4. But Holgate could play there as well, because I think it was West Brom or Wigan that he went on loan to a few seasons ago, and got quite a few assists playing as a right back. So I think if we go back to something similar to like what we played in the first sort of 4 or 5 weeks, with Alan sort of playing a bit deeper, maybe give Gomez another shot, with Decore there, James and Richarlison and DCL. I think that gives us the best chance of winning. Look, if it doesn't work, then in the second half, you can always go back to the back 3. But I think I'd like to see us start this game a little more positively, because I think, Burnley should be there for the taking. I think this is one that we should be winning comfortably. Andy?
I honestly don't know what team he's going to pick and who's going to come in. But I don't know, maybe he'll just change it all up again. And I don't know, maybe he'll go back to a 3, but he'll put Holgate and Godfrey in midfield possibly, just to get more energy in there. It just needs more energy. That's another thing I don't think one of us has brought up. We gave the ball away so much, especially Decore, constantly, just handing it back to them. Even Pickford was a few times he would just kick it out, but it'll end up with them straight away. It's so. We need more precise, more precision with our kicking outs and stuff, and just our general passing. When we're coming to that forward play, it'll be 1, 2. Oh no, we've lost the ball. 1, 2. Oh no, we lost the ball. We need to get that rhythm back. I think our midfield definitely needs a change. I'm not sure. Alan will definitely keep his spot. But yeah, I know. I think either put Holgate in there or Godfrey, one of them. In the front, leave them. But and put
defense.
Yeah. Who would you have? Who would you take out?
Well, it'd be Davis, I guess.
Yeah, Davis would be out.
So I think what Andy's saying, if you go a 4-3-3, then Godfrey, who's done it in previous clubs, I believe, and Holgate, who did it once or twice for us when Dunk was in charge, could play that deep lying
Yeah,
midfielder
yeah. So yeah, I'd say 4-3-3. Yeah.
to keep Sigurdsson and Gomez out of the midfield pairing.
Yeah, I don't
Basically,
want Gomez or Sigurdsson in there.
I thought Gomez was okay once he came on this week. Not
Oh
great,
my
but
God.
okay.
He was so slow though. Like he would have the
Yeah.
ball. Like there was a chance, I think, in that second half, I think they've just scored. And you're like, okay, we really need to equalize here. He had the ball and he's just like, just pass. It's like, dude, you've got all this space. Leeds are backing off. Run!
Yeah.
Like, just take it forward.
Run like the wind, Andre.
Exactly. And he just stopped and turned it back or the side. And I'm like, you had like 6 feet in front of you. Like, just, do your thing. But I don't know. He's a whole other story. Like, I don't know what's going on with him. But just, yeah, he's
So,
not the same.
just before we finish up, guys, just a little sort of question I wanted to throw out for all of us. Now, obviously, we've had a pretty ordinary 5 weeks with only the one win by the skin of our teeth against Fulham, playing arguably some teams that we should be beating. And we know that there's been some extenuating circumstances with suspensions and injuries and, all that sort of thing, missing Richie for 3 games, then Dinya for a game, James having an injury, and sometimes in some occasions, those 3 things happening in the one game.
Yeah.
So, there has been, it's been a bad 5 weeks. There's been a lot of, and I think there's a lot of chopping and changing of the starting lineup, not only the players, but the formations, to the point now where all 3 of us are sitting here a week out from a Burnley game saying we have no idea what formation we're going to line up in and which players are going to start. And I think we've all discussed, not in depth on the show, but I know definitely amongst us and in our WhatsApp group, about the players that aren't getting a game and we don't know why, like in Konku or Gordon or Kenny or, over the players that are getting games out of position ahead of those players. So as you mentioned, Nick, our Christmas fixture list is going to be quite hectic. How many, I'm certainly not saying that I want Carlo sacked, and I think it's, it's way too early for that. I think maybe part of the disappointment now is the good start that we did have. And we all maybe got a bit carried away as a fan base when Carlo has said right from the start that it's a project and he's not going to get it all done in one transfer window. But our next sort of 5 matches, we've got Burnley, Chelsea, Leicester, Arsenal, and then Sheffield United. And a few of those come off 3-day breaks as well. So Chelsea, 4 days later, Leicester, 3 days later, Arsenal. So how many points do you think we need out of those games? And so realistically, how many points do you think we need and how many do you think we can actually get?
I think 6 is minimum. So I think you'd be looking at Arsenal at home?
Yeah, at Everton, yeah.
So, okay, so
I reckon we'll win that.
If we take into account Burnley as well, I would say 6 is minimum. 7 you'd be sort of trying, confident with, and take a loss against Chelsea and Leicester. How many points do I think we'll get? I mean, I don't know. I think 6. I have faith in 6. But I think if any less than that, and I think we're could be in a bit of trouble. And Carlo, questions could be asked of Carlo.
Yeah, and Andy,
I think we might get 10.
Oh, love it.
Yeah, I know.
I
just think we'll get. Okay, so I reckon we'll beat Burnley. We'll maybe draw against Chelsea.
Yeah.
I think we'll beat Arsenal because I just don't rate them, honestly. And who was after Arsenal?
Leicester first, then Arsenal. But yeah,
Leicester.
So
where was Leicester?
That's at Leicester, at King Power.
Leicester away. Maybe a draw. So what's that? Yeah.
That's 3.
So
2 draws, 2 wins you've got so far. So
okay,
which I like. So that's 8 points.
8 points, and then what was? And then we'll win that. So is that 10?
So Andy's on 11.
Oh, it's 11. There we go.
Love it.
Well, love that. Love that positivity.
I mean, look, I think ultimately 6 has to be the bare minimum.
Bare minimum, yeah.
And, it's quite funny at the start of the season, we said 10 or 11, which we got. And we didn't actually do this sort of little thing for the next block of 5 games. And I think if we did, we considering where we were after the first block of 5
Yeah, who
games,
get it wrong?
I think we would have been, considering the opposition we faced, I think we would have expected a lot more than what we've actually gotten. And, you know, so as I say, I'm certainly not saying that, you know, Carlo out and nothing like that. You know, if this was Fat Sam or Martinez or Silva, I probably would be crying out for that at the moment. But I guess with a manager with Carlo's resume, he gets a bit more leeway in terms of, you know, his formations and his selections, which seem very odd at the moment. And I don't know, like, I don't know what goes on the training ground behind closed doors, but I do think he's at some point he's going to have to give Kenny or Nkunku or Gordon a run out over playing older, out of position players in their positions.
Yeah,
and
there's something else.
My concern is if he keeps doing that and we keep losing, maybe he doesn't look so much like the right man for the job anymore.
Well, I'm nowhere near as panicked as maybe I would be with other managers or with other players. I think we've got enough quality in there to make a real fist of it, and he needs to sort out the defence, and we know that. But Carlo is an unbelievable manager, and you know, I'm still okay with how things are going, and it's a bit of a blip and all that sort of stuff. Don't get me wrong, if it turns into a bigger blip by Christmas.
And he's only had the one transfer window, so like
you only had the one transfer. The only thing that I would say is that, I think we said it at the start, a lot of people did. Obviously, we were very excited about Carlo Ancelotti. Who wouldn't be, right? But he's not actually had a team like Everton that's a real building project, which is what we are. He's gone into, much like Jose Mourinho did, apart from at Porto, which obviously he worked, you know, miracles with them, which is gave him the platform. But Carlo Ancelotti's always had players. He's always had, you know, whether it be Bayern Munich or Real Madrid or his other teams. Like Napoli even had, you know, players, although they didn't really achieve too much. PSG. Here is a very different story. I know he's got some of the players that he wanted in, but we're still lacking so much quality and depth. And maybe he's been beginning to be found out, but who knows? I hope I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, look, I agree. I don't think it's panic stations. I mean, 5 weeks is a long time in football, particularly this season. You know, 5 weeks ago, you know, it was us and Villa vying for the top of the table, you know, and everyone was writing off Tottenham for the season, you know, and that's turned around very quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it definitely can change. But yeah, I think, as we say, we've got to hope that this blip doesn't turn into an extended run, bearing in mind that Digne, who's one of our most important players, is out for another, you know, 6 to 8 weeks, and we're coming into a period where games are going to come every 3 days and we have to rotate. So I'm hoping that we do during that period see some flexibility, which I'm sure we'll talk about in future shows anyway. But yeah, all right. I think that wraps it up for this week, guys. So thanks everyone for watching. You can catch us on all our socials on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, Toffees Victoria. And we'll see you next week. Come on, you Blues.
Come on, you Blues.
Yeah.